Hello guys, the stage is set for this year's Overwatch Contenders, and we have our 12 teams that are going to be competing this year. Hello, I'm Renru, and starting this Sunday we will be seeing a more high-tier Overwatch from new teams, starting on Sundays and Tuesdays next week. So, I'm pretty excited for this. Our 12 teams will be Last Night Leftovers, featuring such names as Ajax and Dummy from NRG. We got Decod from Team Norway last year. N64, Kevster, and Nalair, who was actually a Russian CSGO player before he started playing Overwatch. Um, I think this team's going to be pretty good. You know, Ajax and Dummy, they've had that synergy for a while, and they've already shown in Open Division that they're still really good. So, pairing them up with Decod and N64 and the other guys, it's just going to be an insane matchup. The next team we have is going to be Grizzlies Esports. This is a team that bought their spot for this year's contenders. It's featuring such names as Spirit and Blam, along with Graceful, Dahoon, Wonderfuls, Pag, Athan, and yeah, this team's gonna be really good. You know, Spirit coming off of Rise Nation, he's gonna be playing all the Reaper he wants this year in contenders. Hopefully, we'll be able to see some high octane Reaper gameplay from him. Other than that, we have Envision, or a really old team with some really new faces. We're going to be having them with iShiny, Crimzo, Buds, Fire, Jaru, and now McGravy now playing on the Flex tank. So we're going to be seeing a lot of McGravy on D.Va. I think that Jaru, he's going to start flexing on some DPS or some other DPSs other than Genji. We've already seen him play a lot of Tracer in some tier 2 tournaments in the past months. So that's really exciting. And then we have Fusion University with young talent Zerg. I'm sure you all know him as the Widowmaker. And he's going to be joining veterans such as Zachary and Who Are You, along with Alarm, Elk, Krakenlecken, and Beast Halo. You know, all these guys are pretty insane. And Zerg, I don't think we're going to be seeing much playtime from him this season, but I think Fusion did a really good job at picking him up because he's a really young talent at only 14 years old, I think. And he's just going to be able to grow in that team atmosphere along with all these big names that he's playing with. And the next team we have is Gladiators Legion. This team is going to be featuring Blase, Gods, Rolf, and with Corey as well, with Panker and Pooks. Corey playing for Evil Geniuses for that short amount of time. Gods, Rolf, Blase, all those three guys are insanely good and insanely respected talents in the community. So I'm gonna be excited to see them play in like a really competitive format again. I can't wait for that. Then we have Mayhem Academy. This is gonna be featuring Za, as in pizza, from Yikes. I'm sure you remember him. Mikey, Crims, Moore, Moopy, and Paintbrush. You know, this team has a lot of faces that a lot of you guys won't recognize, but I think that Mayhem hopefully did a really good job at putting together a team with a lot of synergy, so hopefully we have that. The next team we have is NRG, with some familiar faces, such as Phasix and Rob Fortune. And then joining them will be Damon, Stratus, Smex, and then Butcher. And they will be being coached by Ya and Shu. Yeah, there's not much to say about this team. You know, they do also have some really unfamiliar faces that a lot of you guys won't recognize. But, you know, Butcher, he's an insane tank coming in from Korea. And with a coaching staff like Ya and Shu, Ya coming from Rocket Esports and stuff. And Shu actually managing Rocket Esports, I think, too. This team can only do well, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to be at the bottom of the list at all, really. They're probably, if I had to guess, they'd be in the middle of the pack. The next team we have is Optic Academy. This team's going to have such talents as Kaiser, Vol, Rena, Gray, along with Aid, Smurf, Tiponzer, Keller, and Sharp. Now, I don't know about you guys, but just reading that list of names off gets me really excited because you have Vol from LG Evil, and then you have Kaiser from Runaway, arguably the best Reinhardt in the game, or he was at least last year. And you know, just seeing these faces, it really makes me smile because this team has a lot of potential. The next team we have is Simplicity. This team is gonna have KSF from You Guys Get Paid, Zoms from like FaZe and stuff. They're also gonna have Faz and Xretzy with DPS and Ginger Pop. The next team we're gonna be talking about is going to be Toronto. They're gonna have Nero, Dalton, Moth, Guardian, Pumple, and then the Korean Shoe on this team. And I really don't have much to say about this team. I've never really met any of these players or played with them, and I don't really have much to go off for this team. But like all I can say is that Toronto is known for being like a pretty decent team in the Overwatch community. They've always been pretty good. Like last year's contenders, they sure put up a fight in season 0. No, but the next team we have, it will be at Excelsior Academy with like such talents as Clone Man, Adam, Mangachu, Goliath, Nene, Midnight. This team is pretty stacked, if I do say so myself. Clone Man being a pretty nuts main tank, along with Mangachu, who you saw him on Team Canada this past fall at BlizzCon. Everyone knows who Mangachu is, along with Adam coming back in the scene and Goliath coming in the back of the scene, and Goliath actually coming from Evil Geniuses, and Midnight, I think he played for Rise Nation. So it's just going to be a lot of like these all-star players who we haven't seen on a team in a while, like at least a year for most of these guys. Like Clone Man, the last time I saw him on a team was Kelvin and the Chipmunks, and before that it was Rocket Esports, and it was Rocket's first roster actually. So I'm pretty excited to see this team. It's going to be pretty hype, I think, their first match, because like I said, a lot of these guys have not played on like an actual team in a really long time, at least at a high level that I've seen in like some tier 2 or some weekly tournaments. So I'm excited to watch this team. And last but not least, One of Us with their new roster who actually qualified the other day. They have names such as Shearshoy, Hex, and Waifu, along with Sombretta, Carbon, Aether, and Dell. Hex, he's been around for a while, and apparently he's reformed now, so hopefully he is reformed. Along with Shearshoy, Insane, Lucio, and Waifu. And I'm pretty excited for this team. I think they have a lot to prove. I do think they have a lot to prove. So I'm excited to see what they can do this season, and hopefully it's a lot of good. So now that we have that out of the way, let's go to this week's matchups. So first on Sunday, we have last night's Leftovers versus Grizzlies. And honestly, this is like one of the first games, but it's like one of the games I'm most excited for. Two teams that have a lot to prove, They have last night's Leftovers, who, is featuring Ajax and Dummy, and these two guys played for like last year's NRG team that everyone considered a bust. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it all. Like that team was a bust, and they have a lot to prove. And I know that both of these guys like really want to get back in the scene in a big way. So I think that's what they'll be doing this year. They're facing Grizzlies, who have a lot of people who are trying to prove themselves too, with Spirit, who's been streaming nonstop pretty much. He's been scrimming with like Hard Retweet over last summer and all these other teams, and he's got a lot to prove this season in Contenders. So along with Blam, Graceful, Dahoon, like all these people have a lot to prove this season. And honestly, I think that last night's Leftovers is going to win this game because, during Open Division, they just stomped everyone, or they didn't stomp everyone, but, they were definitely the dominant team. And if you look at the standings, they're at the top. They're not tied with anyone. They're sitting by themselves with the best record, when the second, third, fourth spot is all tied at 5-2. And I just think that they will come out on top in this game. The next matchup is going to be Excelsior versus Toronto, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this game either. I think that Excelsior is going to completely stomp on Toronto. And I hope I'm wrong, because the only thing I want in most of these games is like really good Overwatch play that I can watch over and analyze and improve my own gameplay on. And like this Sunday on March 11th is going to be Gladiators versus Mayhem. I think this game is going to be pretty fun too. Like I said, I haven't seen any of these scrims, but if I had to guess, I think that based on the rosters alone, like I don't want to like shit on Mayhem because they are a roster of mainly people that have never really like been in a good position in the competitive scene before, or at least not in the past couple years. And and like I don't want to pull a Boston Uprising on them where everyone just shat on Boston Uprising for having a whole bunch of no names and then they came by and they did super duper good in stage one. So I don't want to do the same thing to Mayhem, but I think that the Gladiators team is just good enough that they beat Mayhem even if they had perfect synergy right now. Because like the Gladiators roster is pretty good. Um then we're going on to Tuesday, March 13th. The first matchup of that day is going to be Envision versus Simplicity. I think this game is going to be really good because, Simplicity, they're coming in with KSF, Zoms, Faz, X-Retsy, Ginger Pop, DPS. And there's one thing I know about the people on that team, and it's that they grind. They grind real hard. Like they're here to prove themselves. KSF, he used to be at least playing comp like 24/7, always trying to improve. I remember last year seeing him on at like 4 a.m. every single morning, and I'd always queue up into him. And Zoms, same thing with him, man. He was always playing comp with like even if he was like three stacking with Sinatra, like he'd still be playing the game and improving. And Faz, along with Faz's memes, there's really no stopping them, right? Like Faz is just going to fuel KSF and Zoms and X-Retsy up with their memes, and they're just gonna dominate, I think. But then we have Envision, and Envision coming into this contender season, I remember McGravy tweeting out something like they're going to win this game this season. Like for sure, they're going to be on the top of the leaderboard at the end of the season, 100%. And I think that McGravy really does mean that. This team has been putting in a lot of grind, and they lost to Fusion University in the Pit Championship, but they also beat Fusion University earlier in that same tournament, I think. So it's going to be a pretty fun game to watch, I think. Like Simplicity can come by and be a really bad team, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And I know that Envision is definitely not a bad team because I've seen them play recently in those tournaments, and they look pretty inconsistent, but I think that even when they are like on the lower end of their inconsistency, they're still putting on a good show. Then the next game is going to be Fusion University versus NRG. I think this game is actually going to be pretty close. Fusion University has been kind of dominating the tier 2 scene, or tier 3 scene. I'm not even sure what to call it anymore. I'm going to call it tier 2 because it's contenders. So yeah, Fusion University has been kind of dominating the tier 2 scene, winning Pit and stuff. And NRG Esports, these guys, like Phasix and Rob, like these guys, Phasix was on Envision last year contenders, and he wasn't like playing the best then, but I think that he's definitely been trying to prove himself since then and been grinding line, getting better. And Rob 420, we haven't seen him play in a while either, so it's going to be a pretty good game, I think. Fusion University is just a solid team with like, who are you? Like they're really getting a Dragon Blade like every fight during Pit. So I think that NRG is just going to have to try to shut Who Are You down, and just try to fight it that way. The next game we have, or the final game of the week, is going to be Optic versus One of Us. And this game, I can tell you right now that Optic is going to destroy One of Us. I don't think there's really any question about it in my mind. Like I said before, with Excelsior and Toronto and stuff, like I hope this game is really good. Like I'm not trying to say I hope Academy wins. I'm just saying that I think that this game is not going to be that close. I think Optic is definitely going to win this game. You know, they have Kaiser along with like Vol and Rena. Like, I just don't see anywhere they win this or they lose this game. They might lose like a map, but I don't think they lose this game. And I think that they win most of their maps decidedly. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to completely guess on the rankings of the teams based on merely nothing but the rosters. So, like I said, literally a guessing game. I've never scrimmed against any of these teams. I've only seen a couple of them play. So just based on the rosters and like the players on their teams and the coaching staff they have, I'm going to be completely guessing the rankings of the teams. So in the number one spot, I have Excelsior Academy team. You know, I think that with Clone Man, Adam, Mangachu, Goliath, Midnight, I think this team has too much to prove and too much experience that they can be anything less than fantastic. The next team I have, which is kind of really risky pick in my opinion, is going to be Simplicity. Like I said before, KSF Zoms, you know, like Ginger Pop, these are guys you always see in competitive at like a high rank. They're always grinding, trying to improve their personal skills, and I'm sure that in scrims they're always working on their team play as well. And combined with Faz's memes, there's no stopping them at all. This team is going to do great this season. They're either going to be top 3 or bottom 3 in my opinion, and I don't think there's any in between. Then the next team is kind of really an obvious pick for me. They probably should be higher on this list, but I'm banking on Excelsior and Simplicity to be really good this season, so hopefully they are. But the third team is going to be Envision. And, you know, like I said before, McGravy was saying how they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard this season. I don't think they're going to make it that far. But I think they're going to be really good this season, and I think they're going to put on a show for a lot of people. And keep in mind that this is for the regular season play. I think that the playoffs will be a completely different scenario, but like at the end of the contender season, this is what the standings are going to be if I had to guess. So in the number 4 spot, I'm going to have to go with Optic, you know, like Vol on the Zarya along with Kaiser on the tank. I think that there's no way this team's going to be stopped with Gray healing them, man. Like, this team is going to be really good if I had to guess, right? Like, I gotta follow up everything with if I had to guess because I've never seen this team play. But just based on their star talent, I'm actually surprised in myself that I'm not putting them higher because like I just think that they have so much potential and literally they have Pure coaching them as well, who's a very experienced player in his own rights. So I think that this team is going to do fantastic this season. In the number 5 spot, it's kind of a really comfort pick because it's the only other team in this rankings I've seen play other than the open division teams. And that's Fusion University. And I think that this team pretty much dominated the tier 2 scene and like pit and stuff. But I think that, you know, none of these other teams were competing in pit except for like Envision. So I think that they're going to come by and I think they're going to do well against a lot of teams, but I don't think they're going to do as good as a lot of other teams as well. So I think they're going to be a middle of a pack team the entire season. And then following that up, I think I'm going to have to go with Grizzlies. This team, you know, like I said, it's a team of experienced guys who are all pretty much respected in the community. And I think that this team is going to do pretty good. You know, they all have like a lot to prove and stuff. And, you know, I think that they're going to be a middle of a pack team. And I have them at 6th because it's top 6, but it's still middle of a pack. And I don't think these guys are going to settle for anything less than the better half of the standings. And I don't think they'll even want to settle for that because this team is a lot of good players. So yeah. And number 7, we have Gladiators Legion, and I think this team kind of speaks for himself. Like Gods and Wolf, we haven't seen play in a while, and paired up with like Corey and Blase, who are two like, in my opinion, inconsistent DPS players. Blase or yeah, Blase, being known for like his Genji and his like Pharah, and Corey being known for like his hit can play with like Evil Geniuses and Eastwind. So I don't think they're gonna do much better than middle of the pack team. And number 8, we have NRG. And I think that this team also speaks for itself, Like, I just think that this team has a lot to prove and a lot of players that really, really want to do well, but I just don't think that they will be able to, like, surpass middle of the pack team with the players they have. And I really hate doing, like, the bottom half of the list because, like, literally everyone in this contender season, like, I love, even though like they may have never even heard of me, but like these are the people that I've been following for the past couple years, and I just respect the heck out of these guys, and it really sucks to like be putting them down the list like this, but it's just like my opinion, and I hope that all of these guys can prove me wrong, and all of them can be fighting for the number 1 spot, but that just can't happen. So it just really sucks. Um, so continuing with the number 9 spot, we're gonna have the last night's leftovers, and I was saying how earlier today, like this team dominated Overwatch Division, like the open season and trials, and they're at the top of the season or top of the list. But like, I don't think that's going to compare at all to like these teams who are like academy teams. Hopefully, they can like prove themselves. I know they're looking for a sponsor or an org right now, because right now like 3 of their players are literally in Europe, and if like they can't get over to America and get like a sponsor and org by then, these teams are going to be playing in Europe against like academy teams, and it's going to be really tough for them. The next team I think is going to be Toronto. Now, Toronto, I was actually going to put them at the very bottom of this list, but then I got to thinking, like, this is Toronto esports. Like, they've never been the best team ever, but I don't think they've ever been the worst team ever either. So it's gonna be really fun, like seeing what they can do this season. I really don't think in the beginning of the season they're gonna do much, but I think by the middle of the season, hopefully they'll be doing really well. It's really tough with like the split roster with three Korean players and 3 American players. It's just gonna be really tough in my opinion with that. Yeah, so like in the 11th spot, I'm gonna have him Academy with like Za and Mikey, and I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of these people on this team, I don't really recognize. Like I remember their faces from comp, but I don't like remember them like from like tournaments or scrims or anything. So I'm sure I've played against a lot of them before, but like they're just not teams I've seen in like tournaments. Other than like maybe weeklies or stuff. So I think that this team, like, I really hate putting them in a spot where like I don't recognize them, they're garbage, but like without doing like any more research, like I can't really do anything more than that. So it's kind of unfortunate for that, but like I really hope that they can do well this season. I hope that they literally put me down to bed because like I know Zai, he was a really good player for Yikes, and I was really sad that he didn't get an Overwatch League spot or whatever. But, like, I hope that him with his team can, like, prove that he's really good and that the entire team is really good. And 12th spot, last but least, I guess, would be one of us. And, like, this team, they really struggled to get here, and I hope that they can like put on a show when they do like get here. Like hopefully they can, now that they made contenders, they can just like snap, 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 start practicing, like grinding even harder. But until they do that, I don't think that they're gonna be really doing much. They have like Hex and Shearshoy, who are like really respected guys, or I guess Hex isn't really like respected, but known guys in the community. And like I just hope that they can do well and like put up a fight, but I don't see them doing any more but like last few spots this season. And on a final note, like keep in mind that literally everything except for the rosters is all just a guessing game, right? Like I have no idea with these teams. Like literally Sunday, Tuesday, something can come up and out. Literally all my predictions will be completely wrong. Giving you like a month or 2 months, and all my predictions will be completely wrong. And I honestly, I kind of hope that happens because that means that I will be very surprised for the entire season. I'll be watching very good Overwatch the entire season. But as of right now, this is what my guesses are, and hopefully, I'll be bringing you contenders updates for the entire season. I'm hoping I can do that for you guys, bringing you VOD reviews and weekly updates or stuff. But until then, like this is what I'm going to be bringing you today. So yeah, just subscribe to the channel, stay in tune. Like I haven't really posted on this channel like really at all, pretty much in like the past time I've had this channel really, but hopefully I can start getting on the grind and give you guys really good contenders like content, some really good contenders content. So I guess I will see you guys next time. Peace.